8:18 in the morning. It is Indiana in the morning on WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160, WCCSradio.com. Bob just asked me what I'm going to ask him about. I have no idea. Our conversation with Bob Fulton, brought to you by Marcus and Mack, voted best personal injury law firm in the Best of Indiana County contest. Marcus and Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Bob is the author of the book Burial at Home Plate, an oddball history of the Pittsburgh Pirates. When this thing first came out last summer, we had Bob in to talk about this, and I thought, hey, here we come to the Christmas holiday. What a perfect thing to put under your Christmas tree or in your stocking. This wonderful book, full of stories about the Pirates. And Bob, I'm sure that since we talked with you last summer, that people have been throwing all kinds of things at you about, hey, Bob, for the next one, remember to talk about this or that.
You know, I don't think we discussed this last time, but one of the craziest stories in there, and I found a lot of things that are just unbelievable. Mm-hmm. Ripley's Believe It or Not type stuff. In 1902, it was July 4th, and the Pirates had a doubleheader scheduled with Brooklyn. And Barney Dreyfuss, the owner, was expecting a huge crowd. So they went ahead with the game, even though Exposition Park in places was underwater.
Oh, yeah?
The Allegheny River would periodically flood, and this day was particularly bad. And there were pools in the outfield, and balls that went into the water were automatic singles, and some of the outfielders had to actually dive into the water to catch balls. And you read this in old papers, and you think, how did that happen? Mm-hmm. But it happened.
Now, where was Exposition Park in relation to Three Rivers and now PNC?
I think the parking lot at Three Rivers, it was just near there because the Society for American Baseball Research, I'm a member, and there were some members in the Pittsburgh area who actually painted the bases where Exposition Park was located on the parking lot. Uh-huh. So it was very close.
Yeah, all in that same neighborhood
all in
on the
that
north
same neighborhood
shore.
on the north side, which back then was actually Allegheny City, separate from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the wonderful book is one thing, and the stories in the book are tremendous. Ben Charrington, we had him on earlier this morning talking with Greg Brown yesterday about the winter meetings and how they're so different now than they used to be. It used to be you went to the winter meetings, and that was where the deals got done. The trades, the free agent signings, all of those things happen at the winter meetings. Now everybody waits for the big one to sign. And if the big one doesn't sign, the winter meetings turn into a whole bunch of, so how are you today and what's for breakfast? Because there's not a lot that gets done at the winter meetings until that first chip falls.
And everybody's waiting for Shohei Ohtani, and I'm sure he's looking at the Pirates as a possibility.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah, somebody said to me, are the Pirates in on Ohtani? I said, you mean Fred Ohtani, the laundry man for the Angels? Because the pitcher designated hitter probably ain't coming to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I heard the Dodgers are really close to a deal. I don't know how true that is, but that's what I've heard.
Yeah, everybody seems to have their rumors to follow. But off-season moves by the Pirates are fascinating, I think, when you think about some of the ways that guys have been brought here. But in recent years, those deals have been made in January instead of December.
I think the most recent one, and there was a catcher they obtained. I don't even know his name. Sanchez is his surname. And when I first saw that, a catcher named Sanchez, I thought, Gary Sanchez used to catch for the Yankees. Mm-hmm. No, it's not him. It's somebody else who I think has 5 games of major league experience, so I'm not really high on that.
Yeah, we've got that position nailed down now. It does seem that at catcher the Pirates go through 15 or 20 guys a season. It's a high injury position, number one, and there are a lot of veteran catchers out there that are looking for a job, little hangers on.
I think Henry Davis, though, he's the future. Even though he spent most of last season in right field, I think they're looking to him as the answer behind the plate.
Yeah. Well, they've got Endy and they've got Henry, and that seems like that's a really solid future at that plate. The Pirates are a team of real intrigue, aren't they, right now?
Intrigue. Well, let's look at the Texas Rangers, who are the world champions. And 2 years ago, they lost 110 games. Now, the Pirates only lost 86, I think it was last year. So if you're really optimistic, you may think maybe a pennant in 2024. Let's see.
Yeah, well, you're trying to build a pitching staff, and that's the main thing for them right now is finding a pitching staff. They got one major league capable starter right now. Well, they got the other one. They signed the Gonzalez, made the trade for Marcos Gonzalez to join Mitch Keller, but everybody else is a huge question mark for the Pirates. My goodness.
There's no consistency there. That's the problem. Most contending teams, you can look at their staff, and they have at least 3 reliable starters.
Mm-hmm.
And you need at least that to contend.
I was talking about the book earlier this morning on the air with Jake, and we were talking about this being December 7th. It reminded me of the story that you tell about December 6th of 1944, when D-Day occurred, the invasion at Normandy, and the Pirates were scheduled to play that day, but it was actually the Pirates who suggested that Major League Baseball not have any games that day. But the intriguing thing about that to me was you write in the book that everybody, he'd requested this ahead of time because everybody knew when the invasion was coming. Everybody except Erwin Rommel and the rest of the Germans because, baseball had made those plans and had canceled those games for that day. If the Germans had only read the box scores from the night before and today's probable pitchers, they probably would have known.
I don't know what exactly they did postpone the games. I guess the invasion was originally planned for June 5th.
Yeah, it was.
And there was bad weather over the English Channel, and so it was postponed a day.
Yeah.
And so no games on June 6th.
Great stories that you tell in the book. And again, the book is Burial at Home Plate, an Oddball History of the Pittsburgh Pirates. I like the alabaster plaster story from the 1960s.
That, the funny story is, and it did play a role in the 1960 World Series. The infield was hard as concrete, apparently. And it was that way because the Pirates had a lot of ground ball hitters. Mm-hmm. And when you play on a hard infield, ground balls go through for hits. And in the 1960 World Series, of course, you had the bad hop that struck Tony Kubek in the throat and was a key part of that 5-run 8th inning that allowed the Pirates to come back and take the lead and then eventually win Game 7.
And amazingly, Bill Mazeroski's the Pirates' second baseman at the time, the greatest fielding second baseman in history, and not even that infield could affect him.
It sort of underscores how outstanding he was. And if you recall his tiny little glove, you look at the players today, they have large gloves. He had this tiny little glove, and it enabled him to get the ball out of his glove on double plays more quickly. And there's a story I've heard where on double plays, the Pirates in spring training were watching film of Mazeroski so that they could learn how to do the relay as quickly as possible. And they thought the film was speeded up. It was regular speed. The ball got out of his glove so quickly they couldn't believe it.
Yeah, just amazing. And sometimes the glove never touched the ball. He was that
That's
fast.
what he said. It just sort of popped out of the pocket and was gone.
Yeah, yeah. Another great story that you tell in the book, and the book is so full of them, is the day in I think it was 84, when Donnie Robinson started, but not as a pitcher.
Oh, 1984, you're right. That was the year Bill Madlock had asked to manage the team on the last day of the season. And Joe Tanner said, okay, they weren't in contention. And Madlock filled out the lineup card and put Don Robinson in left field. And as you might recall, Don Robinson was a pretty good hitting pitcher. In fact, I think it's in the book, but I can't recall. I think he hit like 18 career home runs.
Yeah, yeah. And we all remember the home run against the Astros.
Yes.
In the Astrodome. And just the sound of it. I remember watching that game and the sound, and you look up if you're not directly watching the game. You look up when you hear something like that, and boom, there it went.
We don't have many great hitting pitchers anymore because they're not allowed to bat.
Yeah, I know. That's the amazing thing. You tell story after story. There's the famous can of corn game, but maybe people don't remember when Kent Tekulve had his own can of corn game.
Ken Tekulve actually played left field. He was in the game in relief. And the Giants, I think it was Darrell Evans, was a left-hand batter.
Mm-hmm.
And Chuck Tander didn't want to remove Tekulve as a pitcher, so figuring Evans was a left-handed batter, he put Tekulve in left field for that one batter, figuring he would bring him back. There were 2 outs in the ninth. Well, Evans, as luck would have it, hit a fly ball to left field. Now, Tekulve had shagged flies in batting practice, so he knew how to catch a fly ball. But the funny thing is, he waved his arms to keep everybody away, and there was nobody close to him. And he caught the ball for a final out, and he said it was just a can of corn.
Yeah. And of course, the original can of corn game, that was Matty Alou, wasn't it?
Matty Alou dropped the ball.
My first favorite Pirate was Matty Alou, and he dropped that ball out in center field. That was against the Cubs.
Bob Prince had announced as the ball went up, just a can of corn. And I think that was with 2 outs in the ninth, and Matty Alou dropped it.
Yeah. And he named that the can of corn after grocers. When they would have the canned vegetables high in the shelves, they would take the stick and they would knock it off the shelf and then catch the can as it fell down. And that's how Bob Prince came up with the can of corn.
That's a story I've never heard.
Yeah. So all of these wonderful stories you tell in your book, Burial at Home Plate, an Oddball History of the Pittsburgh Pirates. And folks can still get this book for Christmas, right?
Yes, it's at the Book Nook and also at the IUP bookstore and also at Barnes & Noble, various locations.
And you would be happy to sign a copy for somebody?
I would sign for anyone.
Yeah, there you go. So, folks, if somebody wants to get you to sign their book, how should they go about that?
I have no scheduled book signings. I may have one at the Book Nook coming up. It would be advertised in the newspaper.
Well, we'll keep our eyes out for it. The book is Burial at Home Plate, an Oddball History of the Pittsburgh Pirates. He's Bob Fulton. We could keep going for hours on this if we really wanted to. But we have to move on. Bob, thanks for the visit again.
Thank you, and root for the Pirates in 2024.
That's what we will do. It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160, WCCSradio.com. And the CBS Sports brought to you by S&T Bank, People Forward Banking.
I can't take this cold anymore.
I feel like I'll never be warm again.
Just close your eyes and picture the beach.
I can almost hear the ocean.
Hey guys, sorry to barge in on your daydream.
Whoa, wait, is this real? Who are you?
I'm your friendly S&T banker. And no, this isn't real, but it could be. You could escape this cold and head for a tropical adventure with S&T Home Equity Total Line of Credit. Just stop daydreaming and get planning your dream vacation.
Let's go.
S&T Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
This is Boomer Science with the CBS Sports Minute. When healthy, man, am I tired of saying that. San Francisco's the NFL's best balanced team. Miami vaults into second just ahead of Baltimore. Philly's defensive lapses are becoming quite troublesome these days. And guess what? Dallas cannot wait to have at them Sunday night in Big D. Next come Kansas City, Detroit, Jacksonville, Houston, and finally, let's welcome Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers into my top 10. I'm Boomer Esiason.
Thursday Night Football is on, and it's only on Prime. Tonight, two perennial AFC powers tangle as the New England Patriots march into Pittsburgh to take on the